welcome to Long Story Short. I'm Keyshawn Haynes, brand new week. Let's get into it. Look, there are some jobs where you feel like Sisyphus, uselessly pushing that boulder up the hill only to have it fall back down and then you start all over again. It's a job that makes you feel as useless as spell check in some of our nation's newspapers. And that job is Kamala Persad-Bissessa's speechwriter. Because we remember the infamous black blank debacle when she said,
the black man on the other side.
So when we ran it back against the script, we realized that she went so far off. And many of her gaffes on the platform come from not sticking to that script. But it was last week at the Monday Night Forum that I realized just how far off what's written she goes. All right, so let's play That's What Was Written, and That's What She Said. So from early, you realize things were not going to go well because this is what was written. She said, or supposed to say, I am sure you are concerned with everything that's going on right now in our nation, from rising levels of crime, a growing number of businesses closing, the increasing level of unemployment. Many of you are waking up every single day wondering if today will be your last at work. That's touching. But here's what she said.
Others have spoken talking about the collapse of one sector or the other. But it is true what MP Padarat said. Everything has collapsed. The energy sector has collapsed. The economy has collapsed. The health sector has collapsed. The education sector has collapsed. And it looked like some of them in the government collapsing too. So, we are here.
Oh God, come on, man. Because you know who she was talking about. And especially when just a few days earlier, she was wishing him well. All right, moving on. The speech meant to appeal to the heartstrings of a nation, telling stories of those stranded abroad, including a former senator. She said, look at her own Senator Tarka Obika, whose wife and children have been unable to return home. A father cannot see, hold, hug, and kiss his own children because of Stuart Young and their dictatorship policies. Man, that's some good stuff right there. The speaking notes went on to call for the system to be scrapped because of the perception that the system is unfair and discriminatory. Not wrong. Now, I would argue there's not a reason to scrap it, just make it better. Anyway, here's what she said.
I want you to tell me which law. I want you to look at the Immigration Act. Where does it say that you can do this? If you're going to do it, you bring it for parliamentary scrutiny. You've never brought that. You've never brought your exemption policy to the parliament for scrutiny. Is it under the Public Health Act? No. Is it under the Quarantine Act? No. Is it under the Immigration Act? No. Which statute in this country gives this one man this power?
Now, typically we in the media would go to a senior counsel to ask that kind of question. And I mean, if only there was a senior counsel around here somewhere who could help us. And look, at this point, I think the onus here is on you to tell us what law he's breaking, because you can't imply that he's breaking one, or worse, inventing one, and the courts keep upholding his decisions when he's challenged. And worse, what she's saying, not in the script, is that there are people who are not taking on the policy at all.
And is it true? Whereas before, people will apply for an exemption to come home. Is it true now that once they get onto an aircraft with no exemption, that once they land here, they will be let in? Because the law is very clear, you cannot refuse the right of entry to a citizen who lands here. And now I'm being told people are coming on flights without the exemption, and once they land, you cannot send them out.
Look, as far as I know, Caribbean Airlines actually has the exemption list before they put anybody on a flight. So to me, it's kind of starting to sound like an instruction and not an allegation. Hey guys, you know what? You should try this and see how it works for you. And should you get into trouble, we have a team of lawyers standing by. All right, let's keep going. So the written script gets really good here. Let me just scroll through really quickly. It talks about job losses and point leases and Methanex. That's some important stuff. Some good stuff here about the central bank, worried about the outlook in year 2. NGC. NGC is not doing great at all. Yeah, that was in the script. Nothing was read. Venezuela. Yeah, Lauren Manatee deal. That should have been a thing. So many good topics. But here's one that I really liked, because on Sunday last, the Supermarkets Association told the country to brace for higher food prices. And this is her script. The most pressing issue, the most pressing problem facing them at this time, the availability of foreign exchange. She goes on to say, what is going to happen if the supermarkets cannot get access to foreign exchange to stock their shelves? I spoke last week about seeing empty grocery shelves like what's going on in Venezuela. Is that what we are coming to under the PNM regime? It's a bit harsh, it's wild, but I would have run the story, okay? Because food prices are important. What did she say?
Under the law, a non-Commonwealth citizen can come in here. And whatever period they've stayed, they can become a naturalized citizen. And you know what's going to happen then? They can vote. And the minister then has the power to say, hey, you've been here 7 years, you know. We will naturalize you. You become a citizen by naturalization. You could vote. We have to keep our eyes on this. So next thing is 16, 20,000 Venice being naturalized over time. So we have to really keep a hawk eye on what is happening with immigration.
So she's not wrong. According to the Representation of the People Act, anyone who is not a Commonwealth citizen but has or will have resided in Trinidad and Tobago for a continuous period of at least 5 years can vote. But here's my thing. If by whatever reason the Venezuelans are still here for 5 whole years, so what? Let them vote. They live here. They are as affected by government policy as anyone else, maybe even more so. If anything, that tells me Mrs. Prasad Bisesa has no confidence in her own ability to win an election. After losing 11 elections with the population you have, maybe you should attract some new voters instead, you know? Because think about it this way. If I, as a man, keep tracking the same Trini girls again and again, and they keep blanking me, well, oh God, try somebody in Tobago, no? Which, incidentally, also applies to the UNC. Let's take a break.